What's up, people of YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about drug testing, because that's always a great experience. I recently got a job at a hospital, right? So it's, common to get a drug test when you work at a hospital. Actually, it's required. So I go in, and the moment I walk through the door in this little clinic in a strip mall, okay, a strip mall, the moment you walk through the door, it's like your soul has just been sucked out of your body, and all the happiness just leaves the world. So that's always great to start off the day at 8 in the morning. So I get there early thinking, you know what, I'm gonna get in. It's gonna take about maybe 30 minutes to pee in a cup and get my blood drawn. No big deal, right? Yeah. Laugh at that. And I sign in, do all the paperwork, wait for them to call my name. So they call my name, right? I go back there, and she makes me wash my hands, put my purse in a box, and then go pee in a cup. Well, I fill the cup, but it wasn't enough. It didn't reach the line, even though it was just that close. She's like, that's not gonna be enough. Oh, okay, my bad. She's like, well, we'll just do this later. We're working on your blood work now. Great. I'm deathly afraid of needles. And people who know me are like, Lizzie, how can you be afraid of needles when you have your ears pierced, your nose pierced, and a tattoo? It doesn't work that way. Just because I have all those things does not mean I'm not deathly afraid of needles. When I got my ears pierced, I almost passed out. When I got my nose pierced, deep inside I was like, I'm gonna die. And when I got my tattoo, I could barely look at it until it was over. So yes, I'm deathly afraid of needles. Mainly needles that involve, inserting into the skin pretty deep and staying there for more than 2 seconds. That terrifies the shit out of me. I've never donated blood in my life. I've only gotten my blood drawn once when I was younger, and I recently had an IV in my arm, and the entire time I had that in my arm, which was for an hour, I was freaking out, and the nurse was like, you're fine, you have a tattoo, you should be fine. Really? Really? You think I should be fine with a needle jammed into my arm and I can feel it just touching my insides and just moving around, and I don't want that inside of me. Thank you. They told me I was dehydrated, and I kind of was like, yeah, I don't drink a lot of water. And I was so dehydrated that they could not find a vein. It took them about 25 minutes to find a vein. First they poked, like, in the crevice of my arm. Probably 4 times I felt the needle move and go in and out, and I was like, I had to lay down, and the entire time they're like, you need to breathe. I'm like, no, I can't do this. Like, I was freaking out. They're like, you need to breathe properly. I'm like, I'm breathing just fine. Stop touching me! They couldn't find a vein. So then they had to poke on my hand, on the little vein on my hand, and that was even worse, because your skin on your hand is a lot thinner, and that made me freak out even more. My blood was dripping so slow that it took 10 minutes to fill 2 vials, when it should have only taken maybe a minute and a half. And then I got really lightheaded, and first of all, the nurse, she was kind of a bitch. She tried to be nice, but really she was just a bitch. And as I was talking about my tattoo and saying it's a little different for me because the tattoo, like, yes, it pierces your skin, but it doesn't pierce deep like drawing blood does. She whips up her pant leg, and she's like, yeah, I have a big tattoo. And so I looked at her, I'm like, oh. And then she whipped up her other pant leg and showed me her other tattoo on her ankle. And I was like, oh, those are nice, blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, they're nice. Okay, sorry. First of all, I don't want to be here getting my blood drawn, so sorry if I seem a little cranky anxious. But you, my friend, you just are a bitch. You're supposed to be nice to me. Do you want me to pass out on the floor? Yeah, no, you don't. They gave me a bottle of water and said, go out in the waiting room, drink this water, and then come and tell someone you have to redo your urine sample. So I drank the water, and I waited maybe like 5-10 minutes. I was like, okay, I think I'll be able to pee now. And I go up and I ask the lady, I'm like, oh, I need to redo my urine sample. They said I had to drink this water, so should I just go back there and wait for the nurse, or what should I do? And she paged the nurse, but the nurse never came out to get me. And it was like 20 minutes later. I was like, okay, well, I need to do this urine sample. So I see the nurse back in the station, so I just go back there. I'm like, you know what, F it, I don't give a shit. So I went back there, I was like, okay, I'm ready. She looks at me, she's like, no, you're not. You're not ready. Really? I'm not ready to pee? You know that for a fact? You are my bladder and you make my decisions for me? Okay. And turns out she was right. I didn't pee enough. And then I come out and I'm like, it wasn't enough. Should I just flush it? Like, I was super just pissed. She's like, yeah, just flush it. I'm like, it was very upsetting. And so finally she gives me another bottle of water and I drink that. And then I wait an hour. And the front desk lady, she paged the nurse like 3 times. And she still didn't come get me to finally do my urine sample, which I had a lot of pee in me. I was ready. I felt it. Felt the pressure. And so the nurse finally comes out into the lobby area, waiting area. And I just go up to her, I'm like, hey, I'm ready for this urine sample. Like, and she's like, oh, okay. Like, she didn't know that I was still there, even though she told me my second time I didn't pee enough. If you walk out the door, you're gonna be considered positive for drugs. Really, I'm giving my urine 3 times here. I'm willing to pee for you multiple times for you to test this pee, and you're gonna say that I do drugs? Really? I'm willing to give you my blood. I'm willing to almost die. I think I don't do drugs. You have to be really stupid to do drugs and then go get a drug test. They should be able to test how much pee I gave them the first time. I was almost to that line. I should have enough, but no. And so the third time I finally peed, I just barely made it to the line. But the reason for that is I was so just anxious and I was crying because I was just so upset that I was like shaking and I got some pee on my hand. And so it didn't all go in the cup and I was like, God fucking damn it. And I told her that, well, I didn't tell her I peed on my hand. I just said, I missed the cup a little bit. And then I washed my hand. I was like, don't look at me. There were a few attractive guys waiting in the lobby while I was crying and like shaking and practically passing out at the same time. And they were all just kind of looking at me. I would occasionally look up from my tears like, tell me I'm pretty. And then they gave me a shot after they drew blood, and I have major swelling. It's terrible. And it hurts and it's puffy, and she told me to ice it if it swells, and I iced it. And it's just a big bump, and it looks nasty, and I'm going on a date later, and he's gonna be like, what's wrong with your arm? Nothing. I just almost died, but no big deal. I'm a little over dramatic, but not really, because I actually did shake profusely. They kept saying I was dehydrated. They're like, yeah, you're just so dehydrated. You really need to drink more water. And that stressed me out. And because they told me multiple times, like, okay, you can tell me a maximum of 3 times. I will allow you 3 times to tell me the exact same thing. Not 76 times. Anyhow. So if you ever have to go get a drug test and you're afraid of needles, I'll give you some advice. Think of happy things. Think of cheeseburgers and ice cream. Food, basically. Just think of food. Anywho, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully you will hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to see more content next Friday, since I finally picked a day. So thank you, and have a fantastic day / night / evening / whenever and wherever you are.